Welcome back. This is Amanda Rideout, health coach, and once again we are here with my wonderful friend Ben Fuchs, pharmacist, cosmetic chemist, and nutritionist. And today we are going to finally get to that topic that we've been saying we were going to talk about for a long time, and that is nutrition. Inside nutrition. So Ben, take it away.
No, you had to ask me like some specific questions.
Okay.
I can't take it. But let me just give a little introduction to it, okay?
All right.
We've kind of touched on this a little bit. We probably even said it, but it bears repeating. The skin is the first place a nutritional deficiency will show up, and it's also the first place where a nutritional supplement program or changing your your intake of nutrients will show up as well. It'll show up faster in the skin than anywhere else, and deficiencies will show up faster in the skin than anywhere else. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Did I butcher that?
We've talked about that before, actually.
Yes, it's very important. That's why topical nutrition can be very helpful, but it's also why internal nutrition is helpful. People will notice their eczema disappearing first. They'll notice their psoriasis improving first. They'll notice their acne or their oily skin or whatever their skin problem is. They're going to notice that first before they notice that internal kinds of things are changing. And there's an exception to that, and that's the digestive system. You notice that pretty rapidly also. Mm-hmm. And that's because the digestive system and the skin are very similar. They're similar in the sense that, number one, they are very fast moving. And so when tissue is fast moving, it's burning through nutrients quickly, it's going to show deficiencies quickly, and it's going to absorb nutrients quickly. So there's a lot of similarities between the digestive system and the skin. There's also some similarities in terms of the immune system. The immunity, the defense system, is that cool? Is that easy to understand that immunity means defense?
Yeah.
Is that a hard concept? That's not a hard concept.
No, it's not at all.
Right.
And I think anybody who listens to you and to these videos already have a good
idea that immunity means defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes wonder if that's just me who thinks that's kind of common sense, or is that just common sense that you have a defense system? We're in the world, we're fighting a battle with the environment. There's us, and then there's the environment, and this is how nature works. There's organisms, and then there's the environment, and there's a battle between the organisms and the environment. So through evolution, a system has developed that acts as a protector, or as a defense system. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And it's very, very important because almost all diseases and almost all the things we hate about life involve the immune system. That's important. I just said something that is major, major. Okay? And you don't hear anybody saying this. This is so important. Let me tell you why. If everything involves the immune system, and the immune system is a defensive system, then everything that we hate about life and being sick and misery and it's our ugly or bad skin or osteoporosis, whatever the heck is going wrong with our bodies, involves some kind of defensive response. Typically a defensive response that's gone awry, that is out of control. Now, why is that important? Because what is the appropriate question to ask if you know that your misery, your health problems, I don't want to be, exaggerate here or hyperbolic here, but your health challenges, whatever they may be, wrinkles or acne or psoriasis or osteoporosis or cancer, how powerful is it? Or I should say, what's the one thing you want to know? What's the one thing you want to ask yourself if I tell you that your problems are caused by a defensive response? Is it, oh, I think I should go to the doctor? Oh, I think I should go get a prescription. No, it's what the heck is causing the defensive response. That's it. That is health in a nutshell, or disease in a nutshell. What is causing my body to feel like its survival is at stake? What is causing my body to feel like its survival is somehow being challenged or threatened on some level? And it's only three things. It's only three things. It's only three things. And I'm setting aside microbial attack, bacterial attack. I'm talking about long-term chronic defensive response. I'm not talking about an acute defensive response that happens to a bacteria or a toxin or something that's happening in a sudden fashion. I'm talking long-term chronic immune responses that are behind all degenerative disease processes, whether it's lousy skin or cancer. Okay? So no matter what it is. So there's only three things that cause this activated defensive response. Number one, toxicity. Number two, a lack of oxygen. And number three, a lack of nutrition. That's it. That's all you got to figure out. The toxicity element means something's getting into the body. Usually it's food. Almost always it's food.
Right.
Rarely it could be something you're breathing, I suppose, or maybe mercury fillings or something along those lines, or IV. But for the most part, toxicity enters into the body through food. Now, there's different kinds of toxins. There's the kind of toxins that are just processed food kind of chemicals that enter into the body. There's toxins from sugar, because sugar is almost like a toxin. It's not exactly a toxin, but at high levels it can become toxic, and that's a huge, huge problem. And then there's incompletely digested foods that enter into the bloodstream through a compromised digestive system. You don't process your foods completely, stuff gets into the blood, and that activates the defensive response and the immunity. That's the toxicity element. Okay. Then there's the low oxygen element, and that low oxygen is caused by a combination of factors. Number one, breathing, poor breathing techniques, but also clogging and stagnation inside the body, lack of exercise, accumulation of toxicity. There's a lot of things that can conspire to come together to cause a lack of oxygen in certain areas of the body. So breathing is important, but also movement is important, and making sure you're not putting toxicity into the body is important. It's kind of connected. And then third, nutritional deficiencies. And these are common. And the skin, because it's moving so fast, is especially dependent on nutrients that give it energy. And these tend to be electrolytes and B vitamins and water-soluble nutrients. These are, you have two, remember you have water-soluble and fat-soluble, right? Fat-soluble is more for long-term. It's more for, and this is a generalization because there's some overlap, but generally speaking, your fat-soluble side is for long-term. It takes a while to process fats, to make fats. Fatty hormones take it's just some chemistry that's involved in that. Water-soluble nutrients, that's not the case. The B complex, vitamin C, and electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, calcium, these are energizing nutrients. They're not so much for long-term growth, repair kinds of things. They're more for quick energy, for movement, for dynamism. And the skin, as we said, is a very dynamic organ. So it is dependent on water-soluble nutrients to a large extent. I'm not saying it's only dependent on those, but it's very dependent on water-soluble nutrients. Well, guess what? And we probably said this before, and I'll say it again if we have. Every time you go to the bathroom, have we said this? You lose your water-soluble nutrients. Every time.
I don't remember if we've said it, but
it's very important.
It's good to...
It's very important.
Yeah.
Every time you urinate, you lose your B complex, you lose vitamin C, you lose your electrolytes. These are nutrients that are important for fast-moving tissues, and they're especially important for the skin. So, for example, vitamin B5 deficiency is a great way to get oily skin and acne. Vitamin B6 deficiency is a great way to get premenstrual acne. Vitamin B3 deficiency is associated with dermatitis and rashes. What other good B vitamins are there? Folic acid deficiency is associated with premenstrual acne along with vitamin B6. So there's very important roles that the B vitamins play directly with skin diseases, but just as in a general sense, because the B vitamins are involved with energy. Vitamin C deficiency, that's another very important water-soluble nutrient. Vitamin C deficiency causes something called blatant deficiency causes scurvy, but you don't have to have, as we said before, you don't have to have blatant deficiency. You could have subclinical deficiencies that are just a little bit deficient, and every time you go to the bathroom, you're losing your vitamin C, not to mention the potassium and the calcium and the magnesium. So replacing your water-soluble nutrients throughout the day is very, very important. It's important for everything, but it's especially important for the skin, the digestive system, the brain, the heart, and the immune system, because these are very fast-moving systems. Thus, BTT. This is why. This is why. Now, I want you to hear something here. I've been formulating products, nutritional products, and skincare products for 30 years, for 31 years, since 1983. I know a lot about formulations. This stuff is incredibly well formulated. Incredibly well formulated. Not only is it incredibly well formulated, but because it is a liquid form, because it allows you to get your nutrients in liquid form, they go right to work. They bypass nutrition, they bypass digestive issues, which many people have, and they get sucked into the intestine without the need for bile, without the need for enzymes, without the need for a working pancreas. Doesn't matter. You're not as affected by liver compromise. These are all things people have. And these are all things that compromise our ability to extract these nutrients from foods, as important as food nutrients are. This stuff goes right to work. And this is why people notice results fast. Anyway, two things about this. Number one, it's incredibly well formulated. And number two, I'm a pharmacist. Okay? In addition to being a formulator, I'm also a registered pharmacist. And we're very careful about marketing products. You know, there's a it's kind of like, it's very undignified to a professional, a pharmacist who's a professional, to market products. So if I'm telling you something works, I'm not telling it to you to market the product. I'm telling it to you as a healthcare professional.
Right.
I'm telling it to you as somebody who's seen results from a clinical observational perspective for 17 years, by the way. The fact that it's liquid means it goes right to work. And that's extremely important. Now, the B vitamins are very important for sure, but there's other things in here as well that have skin relevance. One of the most important is the pigments. There's something called, what do they call it here? I forgot. Where is it? They used to put veggie drink in here, or veggie mix. I don't even see that in here anymore. They don't have the veggies in there. How interesting.
Actually, the 100 and something vegetables are...
That's not in this one. That's not in this one.
It's in this one.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they took it out of this one. Okay, but let me tell you about the vegetables, the 100 vegetables. And this is very important for women especially, but it's actually important for anybody who has fat metabolism problems. Remember, the water-soluble nutrients are important, but the fat-soluble nutrients play a role too. Fat-soluble pigments, fat-soluble phytonutrients, the technical term for them is unsaponifiables. These are things that are, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we talked about that in another video.
Unsaponifiables. They have very wonderful protective benefits against the sun and the environment. And again, if you don't have a functioning, your liver is not functioning to optimum capacity, intestinal problems, pancreatic problems, gallbladder taken out, or women who are postmenopausal, who tend to have problems with fat metabolism, you're not going to get your sun protective nutrients from your vegetables. You're going to be missing, and vegetables are an amazing source of sun protective nutrients, but they're in the fatty part of the vegetable, even if it's a cucumber. You know, you look at a cucumber, it doesn't look like there's much fat in it, right?
Right.
Right?
You'd never think it.
You'd never think. What part of the cucumber do you think the fat is in?
Is it in the skin?
Exactly.
Because that needs the most protection from...
Yes, and also it's keeping the water in. It's a water barrier, so it's keeping the water in, keeping the water out.
We throw the skin of so many things away.
Exactly. The skin is where the good fats are and the unsaponifiables. So the skin, you'd be way better off eating an apple skin. Of course, with pesticides, that's a whole other story. Because you got to have them. They're amazing nutrients. But as it turns out, the part they spray is the best part.
Right.
It's the fatty part, and that's the stuff that absorbs the spray the most. So the peel just saturates the pesticide. So it's very difficult. You know, what are you going to do? Right. That having been said, the good stuff is in the peel. Wash your peel, eat your peels. The peels are really where the good stuff is. But if you have a problem with fat metabolism, with fat processing, if you're older or you have a gallbladder issue or you're not making enough stomach acid, there's many reasons why you can have fat metabolism, why your fat digestion, fat processing can be off, most especially liver issues. You're not going to get the benefits of those phytonutrients. You're going to be burning much more readily. You're going to be photoaging much more readily. You're going to be getting more wrinkles. You're going to be hyperpigmenting, not to mention you're going to have a higher risk for cancer. So understanding how to take advantage of these pigments and leverage their power and help your body absorb and assimilate them is very important. So for one thing, you always want to mix a little oil with your vegetables. And you always, if you can, put a little bit of heat. Not a lot. It's a very thin edge that you're walking because heat destroys things too. So a little bit of steam and butter or coconut oil. Just pile on the butter and coconut oil on the broccoli and on the cauliflower, on the greens. You'll release the fatty material. It'll come out in the butter, and then it'll come out in the oil. Or mix if you're having a salad, put salad oil on it, flaxseed oil. Put a good nutritional oil on there. Make sure it's fresh. Make sure it's kept in a dark place. It's a good nutritional oil. You got to be very, very careful with oils. Some people just say don't even use oils. I don't go that far, but I say because there's valuable things in oils. But you got to be very careful with oils for sure.
You could use clarified butter as the oil.
Butter's great.
I know.
Absolutely, butter's great. Butter is awesome. Butter's filled with nutrition.
I know.
But there's some things in oils that's amazing stuff. And lots of salt. Combine salt and combine butter and combine with your veggies and a little bit of steam, just a little bit of steam just to soften and loosen things up. Vegetables, the nutrients in vegetables tend to be tied into the fibers and locked up a little bit, so they're hard to access under the best of circumstances. But if you have problems with fat metabolism, then you're going to be at higher risk for skin issues. But you can also use your Beyond Tangy Tangerine because your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, at least the regular one, is made with the fruit and vegetable powders. Yeah. And those fruit and vegetable powders are not the sugar. They're not the middle part of the fruit. They're the peel. They're the outside part of the fruit. And also in the vegetable, vegetables have their phytonutrients dispersed. The difference between a vegetable and a fruit is like it's shaped like an ovary. It has like a middle that feeds the seed, and the whole thing is covered for protection. A vegetable, all the nutrients are spread throughout the vegetable. It doesn't have seeds. Vegetables don't have seeds. Only fruits have seeds. So fruits, the nutrients tend to be concentrated in the outside. Vegetables dispersed. But in any case, the BTT gives you everything. Okay. It gives you all the fruit and vegetable powders. Then you get your fat-soluble nutrients in a water-soluble form. Fat-soluble nutrients, vitamins D, E, A, and K, fat-soluble vitamins, I should say, they're typically hard to absorb, like the phytonutrients, right, or harder to absorb. So what the BTT gives you is it gives you a water-solubilized version, a version of the fatty material that has been kind of tweaked to make it dissolve into water, and it makes it easier for your body to absorb. Things always dissolve or get into the body easier if they're water soluble. So you've got a pre-dissolved version of vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, and vitamin K. So you basically have a very, very well-rounded skin. It's not even marketed that way, but you have a very well-rounded skin nutritional supplements. And of course, there's other things too. There's the zinc in there. That's important. Copper is important. MSM sulfur is important. Coenzyme Q10 is important. It's really quite remarkable the amount of nutrition that you get in this bottle and in per dose. And it really is, for $50 or $55 or whatever it is.
It's amazing.
It really is. It really is.
You know, people forget that you just don't put stuff on your face to avoid wrinkles. It really begins from the inside. And if you don't... Right, but you know, people forget that.
Where do you get the wrinkles? What part of the skin is the wrinkles
on the inside, in the meat,
no,
the beef.
The beef.
No,
the beef. The beef. It's in the beef. You're not gonna put a cream on and affect the beef, with the exception of vitamin C, vitamin A, and alpha hydroxy acids. Right. You're not going to really, and maybe a couple peptides here and there. For the most part, you're not going to be able to do much to the beef without having good protein, good micronutrients, which is what the Beyong Tangy Tangerine does, a healthy digestive system, and a stable blood sugar. Here's the thing. If your body is breaking down, your beef is going to break down. Their skin beef is going to break down. It's together. Nobody has wrinkles and doesn't have osteoporosis or weak bones. It doesn't occur that way. The body breaks down as a whole. So when you start doing nutrition, not only do you end up with, for your bones, not only do you end up with better bones, you end up with better skin. Likewise, when you start doing nutrition for your skin, not only do you end up with better skin, but you end up with better bones, a better heart, a better blood vessels. So when we talk about these vitamins as being important for the skin, it's kind of misleading in a way, because they're important for the entire system, and then the skin benefits. And I know sometimes people get annoyed with me because I always say, I don't like to do this for that, this for that. What do I take? I got this. What do I take? What do I take for this? Or you take that for this disease, or that for this problem. It doesn't really work that way. The body breaks down as a whole. So if you have osteoporosis, you have other things going on as well. You just don't notice them, or they're more significant in one part of the body than the other. But it doesn't mean that the problem is in the leg or in the pancreas or in the liver. It's in the entire body. It may be in the liver, but it's part of the entire body. So you want to focus on keeping your body healthy. Can you have, if your body is healthy, are you going to have liver disease?
Not if it's healthy.
If your body's healthy, are you going to have Alzheimer's disease?
No.
If your body's healthy, you're going to have Parkinson's disease? No. If your body's healthy, you're going to have arthritis?
No.
If your body's healthy, you're going to have et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. So let's take care of getting the body healthy instead of dealing with this thing and that thing, and go over here, and oh my God, I'm falling apart over there. And you're like the little boy with his finger in the dike. You stick your finger in here, and it pops out over here, and that's how people are. It starts off with just this problem, and then it kind of cascades out of control. But if you handle the body will take care of everything. It'll get you great skin, it'll get you a great heart, it'll get you a great circulatory system, it'll get you great digestion. Take care of the body. And isn't that simpler?
It is much simpler.
So much simpler
than trying to guess how much of this should I take, and then other things are happening. Well, what do I take for that? You just take the whole spectrum of nutrition. Do the mighty 90
essential nutrients. Make sure you're eating, you're not overburning the body with calories or putting toxicity in the body. Stabilize the blood sugar. Make sure you're breathing. Look, it's designed to be simple. It's not complicated. We overthink this. That's why we're the most medicalized culture in the history of mankind. The most medicalized culture. We got medical professionals and diagnostic tests and prescription drugs and protocols and procedures for everything. And we're sicker than any culture has ever been. We're more overweight. We got more degenerative disease. We got more cancer. We got more heart disease. We got more blood sugar issues. By every single marker of health, we're the worst. This is the kind of culture we live in.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting and it's funny and, you know, it's titillating to beat up on the medical model, and I'm guilty of it myself. But we don't need to.
No.
We can get on a good nutritional supplement program, eat way less food, see if you can start to sense when you're, you know what, sense your body. There's something called introception. Introception is the ability you've heard of introspection?
Yes.
Introspection is when you mentally look at yourself and your behaviors. Introception is when you look at your body. Okay. You feel your body, your stomach, you know. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else at this, by the way. I'm not pretending to be some paragon of virtue that I'm like, you know, a perfect guy.
Everybody knows their own body.
Everybody knows their own
yeah.
body. Pay attention. Those are signals. That's your body talking to you.